Alright, 2 videos in 2 days, pretty big. I don't really know what I came to talk about today. I think I'm just gonna do some thinking out loud. That's really about it. Don't really have anything set. Like how the lighting is yet. Like a little more sneaky. What's this YouTube video? This old guy giving out some like things I wish I knew before. It's not old guy's advice. That's a different one. It's this other guy. Anyways, he was just talking. Went through his life like looking for all these important things that he like deemed important, like a promotion, job stuff, all that. And then he went through this. He went through this really like health scare in his 40s, and he really took that time to reflect and just like, I don't really know, kind of like not find himself necessarily, but find what was important to him. I thought that was really interesting, and I think I feel like that's something a lot of people have heard before, taking time to find yourself, and I don't think that's something many people act on. Obviously it could be wrong, I have no idea, but at least in my case I haven't really acted on that. Golly, I haven't really acted on that, I feel, but that's okay. I don't really know. I've definitely spent a lot of time to myself, but it also, at the same time, it feels like I haven't made any progress with myself. I've definitely learned more about myself, but I haven't learned how to fix my issues, which is kind of disheartening. And is that a scratch on my screen? Okay, it's a scratch on my screen. I thought there was something on my face, but it's kind of been disheartening knowing how much I've been able to learn and how little I've been able to solve, or even come closer to solving. Like it feels like the more I learn about myself, the harder it is to like realize that. Not realize the things like learning about it, I'm realizing those things, like realize it as in like internalize it. Like it's harder to feel, I guess. Like it's harder to just take on the brunt of that information. Like regardless, like even if I know my mental state isn't the best, and the more I learn about it, the more I find out, not necessarily why, but the more I just learn about it and how it affects things around me, I learn about it more, and it's just harder. It gets harder to let those like facts, not necessarily facts, just like personal truths, I think is a better way of putting that. Sorry. It gets harder to really internalize those personal truths because they're not something I want to hear. Yeah. And I think that doesn't really have to do anything with what I started talking about. With why do people often not listen to others' advice, and they're like bruntish, they want to find out for themselves, I feel. I know that's true for myself, so I'm kind of making a broad generalization, but don't particularly care. Okay, when I see a car, because I get distracted, but like, it doesn't matter because they're not even thinking about me. I repeat that to myself every time, and still every time I see a car, I have that thought. But anyways, I know for me personally, I've been really like incessant on learning things on my own. Like even when I was a lot younger, my parents would tell me don't do that. Something will happen. Like, don't run. You could slip and fall, like, by a pool. Obviously, there's part of that paired with young rebellious attitude as, like, kind of pushing your limits, seeing where you stand, I guess, and kind of pushing that, and, like, that being a reason for wanting to run around the pool. And another reason was I simply just didn't believe it. Didn't believe I would slip if I ran by the pool. And sure enough, one time I was running and the ground was a little wetter than I was used to, slipped and fell. I think I fell on like leg or bruised or something. I don't know. Some minor injury that has no real effect on me after like a week of the incident. But what that kind of illustrates in a broader perspective to me is that regardless of how sound the information is, I'll want to learn it myself. And I think it's a really dangerous trait to have. Like, not being able to accept others' information and apply it in your own life is just like a waste of other people's information. Like, they're telling you for a reason and they want you to learn from them, but you're just kind of throwing it out the window because you want to learn it on your own, and you want, I don't know if it's like a sorry, I don't know if it's like a satisfaction thing, like, yes, I figured this out myself or something like that. But I don't know. I really dislike how that's a trait I have. I'm sure many other people have it, but I'm not sure what I'm meant to do about that. One, because if it's been a thing since my youth, how am I I'm yawning so much. How am I meant to remedy it if it's been so like built into me, especially during my early cognitive years when I'm more inept at like piecing the world together around me as I learn it. So as I learn something, it's more substantiated when I'm younger, because that's all the information I have. So like, let's say this one, I don't know, I run into 20 tigers that are all striped, but it's just in my area. I'll be like, oh, tigers are striped, and this is when I'm young. But then later in my life, I find out like the majority of tigers aren't striped, and I'll be like, no, I know that as a kid, and I'll defend it until I'm like vehemently proven wrong. And I'll be like, no, most tigers are striped. All the tigers I saw when I was a kid were striped. Obviously, it's a really bad example, but I feel like you can understand what I'm trying to say here, is that when you're younger, your brain is still forming those connections, those new connections within itself. And as you get older, you tend to lean back on those connections because it's the least amount of work you have to do. Like, instead of having to work through a math problem step by step by step by step, you can start to see patterns in that, and you immediately go to the end. Like, that's how I think your brain works. Obviously, scientists say, I don't know if they say otherwise, but I'm sure there's studies saying, like, agreeing with that, so there's studies disagreeing with that, and more power to them. I don't really know I know what that does mean. It means, like, as I begin to hear these things, I want to prove them rather than accept them, because like me personally, I hate doing something without knowing why. For example, in like mathematics in high school or like calculus, whatever, I would rather want to know why something happened rather than just what to do. Like, learning the what is it, like rectangular intervals of like things, and like Riemann sums, that's what it is. Like learning Riemann sums before learning integrals and derivatives was really helpful, because it kind of showed why you do that and how that evolves into that. And then that goes further with like your area under your acceleration time graph is your velocity graph, like something like that, like it's the slope to your velocity graph, something like that. But it's really, I know for me personally, I have a lot of desire to be, I don't know if vindicated is the right word, a lot of desire to be, meaning like reinforced in my own statement, or like positively affirmed. I want to be vindicated in my beliefs through personal experience, because I can tie it into that better and get a better understanding of it. So even though I hear these things such as take time to find yourself and what you really value in life, it although it's like pretty simple, it makes sense, I haven't done that just because I haven't found a need to. And like that old guy was talking about on, it feels rude calling him an old guy, like that Wiseman, no, that sounds funny. I don't really know, like that, I'll just say guy on YouTube. That guy on YouTube was talking about, he had like a major health scare in his 40s. I think he was like in his 70s something. I'll be generous. Also, he was in his 60s in the video, and he seemed really at peace. Obviously, I think he found a lot about himself after that health scare. And obviously, I'm not wishing a health scare upon myself. I feel as though I've already had one to an extent when I ended up in the ER due to my own mental situation and inability to control my emotions and actions under periods of like immense stress and emotional vulnerability. Like I've ended up in the ER because of that, and that was I lost a lot of blood, like all that. Like that was a major, like many people don't, I feel like many people don't ever go to the hospital for something like that, like any type of injury. Like I feel like a lot of people live life without having some sort of injury that's self-inflicted or like nature inflicted, like an insane illness. I feel a lot of people go to the hospital for like I know a lot of youth, it's like through sports or they're hanging out with friends and they get hurt or something like that. It's never like a car crash. Like a car crash, you don't have any influence on that happening. Like you almost lose your life, and you really take time to think like, okay, what's important to me and how do I prioritize that in my life? And I feel like even though I've kind of experienced that by ending up in the ER to my own means, my own hands, I never took time to really find what I valued in life. And I don't know what I'm meant to do about that, because obviously the moment's passed. That's not something I think fondly of. I think about it not frequently. I would say, I don't know, at least once a week. I think 2 to 3 times a week is more. I think 2 times a week is more substantiated in the truth, but I don't know. Like it's obviously something I've put thought into, and I've replayed this situation many times. I've thought about everything that led up to that. I've thought about everything that's resulted of that, and even doing so, I haven't found what's truly important to me, and I don't know how I'm meant to find what's important to me at this point. Obviously, there are certain things I deem more valuable than others, and those are often things that I enjoy more than others, or I find more value in, I suppose. I guess that's how I'm using it in comparison already. Like I find more value in things I find more value in, if that makes sense. Like I find more value in an accounting class than a gender study class, because I feel like there's more applicable knowledge there. So and knowledge is value. So there's more value in that, so I find more value in the class. I feel like I use a lot of education examples just because I'm in college. I hope that doesn't come across as like trying to display my like status as a college student. I really don't care. I feel like anyone can go to college if they really want to. So I don't think it's a big accomplishment. But I think that kind of also displays my view on a lot of things. That being, I don't see, obviously I see college as like an important step, but I don't see it as like a major step. If anyone's able to do it, what separates you? Everyone's able to go to college. I feel everyone can get good grades if they really want to, and if they really put the effort in, and they think getting good grades is important. So I think that can work with anybody. Like if anybody wants to get good grades, they can get good grades. Like simple as that, in my opinion. You just need to know what you value. And I think knowing what you value is different than what you find important in life. I think value has a lot of materialistic or inherent value. I'm using value to describe value, but I think it'll make sense. Like, I think a lot of people value money, although money is not that important, honestly. A lot of people value, I don't know, good housing. Good housing is not important. You just need housing. And I know a lot of this probably comes across as really, I don't know the right word to put it, but really, like minimalistic in terms of living and what you really need to experience life in a, not necessarily a correct way, but in a fulfilled way. You don't need a lot to be fulfilled in life. You need those important things, not those so-called valuable things, to give you a fulfilled life. And I feel that having a fulfilled life is more important than having a life full of value. Sorry, I'm shifting around a lot. I'm kind of uncomfortable. And I think that is due to my mental uncomfortability. I feel like I definitely have a lot more unease with my physical situation when I have a lot more mental unease. But that's just another thing of proving psychology is also physiology. I think that's really well proven at this point, despite how some people may tend to ignore that or even disbelieve it. Anyways, I've worked in 6 hours or less, but it's whatever. I don't know. I feel really calm at this exact moment. I do feel very calm and like at ease with my life, but I also desire more out of life. Like I feel if I'm able to find things of importance, then I'll be able to better find situations to put myself in that bring me the most joy. And obviously being able to find those situations come from knowing where to look and what to look for. And until I can find what's important in my own life, I won't know what to look for. And I think that's an issue a lot of people have. I think a lot of people misconstrue the so-called fact that things that are important in life and things that you value in life are the same. Obviously, I don't know if that's like a thing people say, but I feel like that's an understandable mistake, in my opinion, to make. There's not a lot of belief that I have in needing wealth to live a fulfilling life. Despite I obviously value monetary goods. I go out of my way to purchase clothing more than just like really cheap stuff. Obviously, like I'm wearing a Patagonia jacket, I'm wearing Lulu shorts, I'm wearing brand new New Balances, but I'm also wearing I don't know how old this shirt is. It's thrifted. It was like $4. So I think that kind of creates a juxtaposition within, not necessarily myself, but I think it sort of shows a difference. There's a lot of people who only wear clothes based on their brand. I feel that's an awful way to live life. I think if you like one brand more than another and you have your own personal reason as to why, I think that's a better way to live your life, rather than knowing that brand is accepted by others and you feel it'll boost your social status. I obviously wish I could live that life and not care about how other people perceive my clothing, but obviously I do care if people perceive me. I'm going into finance and accounting, and there's a whole world within that where it's strictly your attire, and your attire has to meet these certain quotas, or like you have to wear certain brands to show your superiority, seniority, whatever. Like there's obviously a part of me that wants that if I want to pursue this career. I also feel like I'm getting off track, but I want to keep going down this. But I think it's finding a balance within that and knowing what of it is necessary and knowing what of it is personal desire. Like I feel like if I want to, I don't need to say it like that many times. I feel as though going into accounting and choosing that as my desired profession, like accounting finance, because it's something I find joy in, I understand that there's a intangible, I guess, portion of the job that relies strictly on my appearance, outward appearance, how I display myself, and a lot of that comes from how you display yourself by means of clothing, accessories, haircut, anything like that. Like I feel like there's a lot of physical appearance or physical attributes. I think I would consider clothing a physical attribute that go into a lot of decisions without really being known. And I don't know, I think it's really interesting. Anyways, I think I want to come up with a way to find what's important in your life. I think that being able to recognize events or items and like recognizing those and how they alter your emotions, I guess. Like, if you know that the cars have been locked, I didn't realize that. Like, if you know that you feel bad, like, I don't know, littering, probably don't litter. And if you know that you feel like elated or you have some type of moral gain from picking up trash even though it isn't yours, I feel like that should you should take note of that and really try to understand why you feel that way. And I think I'm probably on like 10 times, but I think once you're able to understand why you feel the way you do about everything, finding things of importance becomes easier. if you know why you feel a certain way based on a certain external stimulus, or even if you provoke that external stimulus, like going out to pick up trash, like you're evoking that action on yourself. Obviously, there's a whole free will debate that you probably didn't choose to do that, and that's just something you're coded to do, and all humans, whatever, that whole thing. I don't know. I'd choose to, I definitely understand it, but I think life is a lot better once you not disprove that necessarily. I don't think there's a way to disprove that or prove it, in that, for that case anyway. I think if you live life believing you're not in control, but if you live life understanding that you're in control of your life, you'll live a better life. Yeah, I think once you realize how in control of all your actions you are, and you don't have to conform to certain things, like obviously there's negatives to that, like you don't have to conform to the law. You can do something wrong, you'll you'll probably receive some sort of punishment, be that legal, be that whatever. I don't know if you kill someone, it's like, I mean, if you don't find it morally wrong, you won't feel anything. But if you do find it morally wrong and you end up killing someone, you're in control of that action, and you'll feel bad. You'll receive the effect from that, and all manners, physical, judicial, like emotional. Like you'll receive all the feedback from it, regardless of if you don't, regardless of how you deem it personally, I guess. And I think that continues to just go into trying to really understand how each action you make, or action that's made upon you, makes you feel. And once you're able to really dissect that, obviously I'm not suggesting going in and dissecting every, like, let's say I walk and I step, and I don't like roll my ankle, but I step a little funny and I have like a weird stutter step for like a second, and I find that to be embarrassing, and then I go analyze that and figure out why I felt like I should be embarrassed. And if I continue to do that, and then after I analyze that, I would go into analyzing why I chose to analyze that as opposed to analyzing another action. And I think there's definitely a limit that you can reach that you should, I mean, I guess like a limit is, you can go past that, obviously there's extremes, but I do think not to be nonsensical with it is a good start. Definitely try and, I think, just paying more attention to like things in your life, and just really not letting life pass you by. I saw one person mention how little time they feel as though they're actually experiencing, and how a lot of time they feel like they're just there. And I understand that. It's kind of hard to know or be present, I think is a good way to put that. It's hard to be present all the time, or find like a moment of awareness in a lot of things. And I do believe that you should be able to, or not should be able to, but you should put effort into trying to experience life rather than just being present for life. I think a lot of people do that, and they have a lot of their time consumed by media, consumed by all sorts of things that aren't actually important to them, but society places value and they're chasing I don't know what the opposite of intrinsic is. Well, I guess it's not. I don't need the opposite. Like society places value on that and you're just chasing that societal value rather than personal importance. Yeah, I don't know what you're meant to do about that. Obviously, realizing is the first step, as with many other changes you want to create. You have to know what you want to change before you're able to you have to know what you want to change before you're able to create that change. Like, I have to know that I want to find what's important to me in life before I'm able to find what's important in life, because otherwise I wouldn't have a reason to find what's important. Which, I don't know, I think that's pretty interesting. Also, my, I'm not gonna mention that. I'm talking about some, like, AC feature on my car. Not important. But, yeah, I definitely think there's a lot that the majority of people ignore or place less value on it than they should. Obviously, I'm not one to tell everyone how to live their life. Like, obviously, don't live a holy hairline check. I don't live a perfect life by any metric. I don't think anyone does. I think a lot of people can make the claim that they have a perfect life, or they're gifted in many ways that their life is near perfect. But I feel that once you really analyze everything about that, you'll realize that there is no perfect life. Like, I don't know. There's a lot more I could go into that. I don't think that's really, I think everyone knows there's no perfection in the world. Yeah. I don't know. I really think that people, I don't know why I'm saying people, it's mainly just talking about me. I really think that I need to find what's important within myself before I try to become important to someone else. Yeah. I don't really know. I don't know. I think there's a lot of issues within myself that I realize more and more. Kind of going back to what I was talking about at the start. There's a lot more issues that I uncover within myself. And the more I uncover, the more sort of helpless I feel in my own situation. Obviously, going to therapy has been a momentary solution, I would put it. It was a momentary solution because I thought that finding out more about myself would eventually lead to solving those issues or problems or whatever. But wow, holy yawning. It's insane. But I don't know. The more I truly figure out about myself, the more I feel lost and stuck. And I don't know if there's really a way to remedy that. I think I do need to spend time and try and find what's important to me. Obviously, if I can find what's important to me, I'll be able to find what I'm looking for in life and out of life. But I don't know how I'm meant to accomplish that while I'm distracted by the displeasure I feel in feeling helpless. Like I feel like I'm obviously not pleased to feel helpless. So I'm displeased in feeling helpless. I feel displeased in feeling helpless. Yeah. Well, 2 days in a row upload gonna be going down. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what I think I said this last time. I don't know where I'm meant to go from here. I can't think of a real solution to my issues anymore. I think any of the solutions brought up in therapy were actually more methods to uncovering and kind of solving myself. And I think the more I solve myself, the more I like obviously as you solve an issue, you're learning more about it. And I think that's practically all I'm doing at this point, is just learning more about myself without any real way to fix it. And I think I've gotten to a point in my own mental state where it's kind of, I've accepted not being able to fix it, and I'm just kind of living with the issues I have. And that sort of goes against what I was saying earlier about choosing to not agree with it and not conform to that thought of being out of control. So I think I need to continue to look inward and find out why I feel like I'm not in control of a situation that's explicitly within myself, where I have the most control of my actions.